But Uncle Jimmy would more than have loved to be there with everyone. So, you know, and that's what she was sensing was Uncle Jimmy's presence with everyone during this kind of family reunion.
I guess I'm a little confused. Are you asking me if I believe that Uncle Jimmy's actually there, or that I believe that they feel like he's there?
Well, I guess a little bit of both. I guess it would be
Okay, because I think that Uncle Jimmy's not there.
No.
But I believe that they think that that he's there.
Okay. So so as this continues to go through the evening, and say you all sit down for a meal, and someone just is given a few words before your meal, and they say Uncle Jimmy again is filled with love and emotion that we have all been able to be here together. And he's only sad because he can't be here in his physical form, but he's with us in spirit.
I mean,
damn, did you hit your funny bone?
Yeah, right after I hit record. Okay.
All right. So, hey, I got a question for you.
Sure.
So, say that you are with some family. You guys are about to get together for dinner, or just a little get together at a house. Maybe at your house or one of your family members' homes, and everyone's gathering in. Everybody's coming in and saying their hellos, and I haven't seen you in so long. And one family member gets there and walks inside and then says, it's so good to see everyone, and I feel the presence of Uncle Jimmy. And then continues, saying, throughout the night, I can definitely tell Uncle Jimmy is here, and he's happy to be here, and he's with everyone, and he misses everybody, but his presence is here. What
would I think?
Yeah, what would you think, and what would your reaction be to that?
Well, my reaction, what I would think is kind of two different things. I would be respectful, and I would be like, oh, okay. But what I would think is, come on.
Yeah. So, well, okay. So I know every family has death and and everything, but so say that Uncle Jimmy was had an illness, right? And
Sure.
so it wasn't necessarily like an unexpected death, but it was an illness that kind of took its course, and ended up Uncle Jimmy ended up succumbing to this illness. So it was before his time, but it wasn't a horrific, violent kind of death, right? But Uncle Jimmy would more than have loved to be there with everyone. So, and that's what she was sensing was Uncle Jimmy's presence with everyone during this kind of family reunion.
I guess I'm a little confused. Are you asking me if I believe that Uncle Jimmy's actually there, or that I believe that they feel like he's there?
Well, I guess a little bit of both. I guess it would be
okay, because I think that Uncle Jimmy's not there.
No.
But I believe that they think that that he's there.
Okay. So so as this continues to go through the evening, and say you all sit down for a meal, and someone just is given a few words before your meal, and they say Uncle Jimmy again is filled with love and emotion that we have all been able to be here together. And he's only sad because he can't be here in his physical form, but he's with us in spirit.
I mean, I'm a little weirded out on what you want me to say. I don't believe in ghosts, but I do believe that other people believe in ghosts. So
right.
if they're saying it and it brings them comfort or something, then I say no harm, no foul.
Okay.
But I don't believe in an afterlife, and I don't believe that somebody's there.
Okay, so if someone was to pull up a chair for Uncle Jimmy and a plate,
Sure.
would you just like, where would the line be? Would you have to be like, listen, we all miss Uncle Jimmy, but you don't need to set a plate and a chair.
No. If that's our grieving process, then I would just say that's totally fine.
Is there a time limit for you? What if this was Uncle Jimmy had passed about 10 years ago?
I mean, again, I wouldn't say something unless I feel like it's affecting other people.
Yeah.
Like if everybody was being like annoyed, I might bring the person aside or say something, not chastising them in front of the group, but being like, I know this is the way you're grieving and dealing with it, but it's starting to upset other people.
Okay.
But as far as me, I feel like if it doesn't affect me, then I don't really care.
Oh, okay. So no belief in ghosts, spirits.
No
Afterlife.
No, but I'll tell you, I find it amusing. I see I've watched reality based shows based on ghosts and ghost hunting and things like that, and I think I can see the wire. You're making that move because of that thing.
Yeah.
Why would it move like that unless there was a wire?
Have you ever seen any? Are you a fan of movies like those supernatural,
Sure.
paranormal movies?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess Paranormal Activity is one.
Sure. Or like The Ring.
Oh yeah. I like that movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any of those? Are you able to watch those in the comfort of your own home at night with the lights out?
You know what? Yes and no. I will admit that even though I don't believe in any of it, some of it gets me worked up where I don't necessarily think that there's a ghost, but you play enough ominous music and you set the tone in such a weird, freaky way. And then all of a sudden I'm thinking, is there somebody outside? Like I'm in the house alone. Like, what was that noise?
Yeah.
I don't think it's paranormal, but it makes me paranoid.
So would you be able to like get up and use the bathroom, like pause the movie, keep the whole setting the same with all lights out, and go to the bathroom? Or you got to turn the light on and be like, just in case.
No, you know what? Most of the time when I'm watching TV, all the lights are on anyways.
Oh, okay.
I'm not setting some romantic mood for me and myself.
Well, no, it's not. Not
No,
that,
but no, I see what you're saying. I will tell you though, there has been a couple times where I've watched something in the middle of the night, and it wasn't even like paranormal stuff. It was just stuff that creeped me out. And the thing is like I got tired and I was like, okay, well I'm going to go to bed. And I got into bed, and I normally flip through videos or whatever on my phone as I'm falling asleep. And I was just kind of like, I'm not sure if I'm going to turn the lights off.
Yeah.
Because it was a creepy thing about a murder. And then I heard a noise outside and it just kind of I was like, you know what? If I leave the lights on, then it looks like somebody's here and maybe nobody will screw with this house.
Or the ghost isn't going to.
Well, no, it's not a ghost, but I was thinking that it could have been, I live in a resort area. There's not a lot of people around me all the time.
Oh, okay. That's it. Okay. Okay. So I do like horror. Well, I guess the specific genre would be like horror drama.
Sure.
But I don't know. I think when I was younger, those things kind of got to me a little bit. But as I get older, they don't really affect me as much. So, I kind of look forward to watching some of those movies kind of in the dark to see if they would give me, any heebie-jeebies. But
did you ever watch Nightmare on Elm Street?
Yeah. So, but see, there's a difference though, because some of those, some of the graphic, gruesome scenes. I mean, I'm not queasy, but I don't really need all that.
Oh, okay. Because Nightmare on Elm Street, when I was younger, I loved the whole series.
Yeah.
In fact, I even saw some of them in the theater.
Yeah.
The one that got me the most that I've seen over and over again is Nightmare on Elm Street 3.
Yeah.
What was it? Dream Warrior?
Yep, I think that was it.
Yeah. And basically these kids are just trying to stay awake all the time, which eventually you're going to pass out.
Right. Yeah. Isn't that the one where like he was using somebody as a puppet? Or was that a different one?
I think so. And it was like a gruesome, like their veins were straight. Yeah, it was gross.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
But I got to say, and this gets a low IMDb rating, but one of my favorites is A New Nightmare, where basically, how'd the story go? It was like the actors that were playing in the Friday 13th movies decided not to make another Friday 13th movie. So Freddy came to life to not stop his story from being not told.
Okay, yeah.
And one of the writers was waking up and like he'd wake up and he'd find like a new script that he had written while he was sleeping. And the script was like what was happening to the actors in real life.
Oh.
And I was like, oh, this is it's like breaking the fourth wall.
Yeah,
It's insane.
Nice. I know I've heard of that one, but I don't think I've seen that one. So I don't know. I mean, that one's a little, I mean, I guess that's paranormal too, but that seems like that's a little bit different. I think the one movie that, I don't know why that this got to me, but this was, I can't remember the title of this movie. Maybe it was just A Haunting. Cause there've been so many of these haunting movies.
Yeah.
But, I think it was called Just a Haunting. And, I remember like it was a scene where this lady was in this house and she was like sleeping in this bed by herself. And then all of a sudden she kind of like woke up a little bit and it was like this little ghost was kind of like swimming through the sheets and like coming up to her. It was such a weird thing, but I don't know why that I think that's the last time
are you
I
talking
got
about
scared.
the haunting when they were in that old house? Like, what was it, like a Victorian era house?
Yeah. And then she had like that little heads or pictures of kids above the bed.
Oh, they were like carvings or something. Yeah.
You saw that? Yeah.
Yeah, that was good too.
Yeah.
You know what? I even like it when it's like a little funny. Like, do you remember The Frighteners? Michael J. Fox?
I don't think I've seen that.
Oh, that was a really good one. Yeah.
Nice. Okay, so no ghosts, no spirits, demons. Demons get you, huh? That's the thing. Probably keep you up at night.
No, I don't have magical thinking. I don't believe in any of that. There's no proof, and even the people that say that they've experienced this, when you analyze it, there is many answers to their experience.
So listen, the human body is very complex.
Yes.
And the mind more so. Okay. So when you think about someone passing away or even getting killed, you don't think that there can be an instance where your body's not ready for that or your body doesn't accept that. So that's what brings about this entity or this phenomenon of like a spirit or a ghost.
No, that's magical thinking. No, I believe that we are complex biological machines. And what happens when you turn a machine off? It's like when I turn my car off, or I've had cars before that have gone to the junkyard and been crushed. It's not like there's a ghost to that car.
So I've had a car where like I turned off the car.
Yeah.
And things still go. Like I'm not.
Well, that's a malfunctioning car. That's not. It's not a ghost in the shell kind of scenario.
How do you know? Like that could be the thing, It could be.
No, I bet you.
That's my car spirit. It's not ready to stop driving. It's
if you were a talented mechanic, you would probably be able to go through that and figure out what's wrong with it.
Yeah. Okay. So I got another scenario for you. Okay. So say that you are going to look at a new house. Okay. And you're getting a tour, and a real estate agent, shows you inside. And you guys are walking through the house, giving you the rooms and, more description of the flooring and, the trim. and you guys are like towards the kitchen area and like towards the back of the house, away from the front door. And all of a sudden, she's kind of stops in her tracks, and she's just stops talking, and she's like, "Did you feel that?" And then you're like, "What are you talking about?" And she doesn't want to lose the sale. She doesn't want to seem a little crazy, so she, gets her composure, and then kind of goes back to giving you the tour. And as you guys are like walking towards another room, she's jolted and she's like, what? I didn't think this was happening. And she gets out of there. She just starts running out of here. Like, I can't, and, she felt the presence of evil spirit.
Cool.
And are you still going to buy this house after
it
this?
depends. If it's a house that I want, yes.
But maybe not your forever house.
Will my opinion drop of her a little bit? Yeah.
Yeah, so are you going to ask for a new realtor or are you going to go look at a new place?
Nah, I'll use her. That's fine.
Yeah. Oh, so you're still going to buy the place?
Sure.
Oh, okay.
But you know what? Here, let me tell you a story. Because I feel like you're going down this route of, well, what happens if you're showing a house and you find out there was a horrific murder inside? Is the house cool? Because I don't really care. Yeah. I would start to think about the public's opinion and the difficulty of selling that house later on if there was like a bunch of people murdered in there. Yeah. But when I lived in Chicago, for a while I lived in this high rise. And this high rise that I was in, there had been plenty of people that had committed suicide in the high rise. The high rise had 530 some units spread between 3 bedrooms all the way down to studios. And while I was living there, this was over the course of like 18 years, 4 people had jumped to their deaths.
That's a lot.
And at no point did I think, I got to get out of this building. I was just like, man, it happens. Some people are sad. Some people have emotional issues, or they have some type of chemical imbalance, or they could have had something very traumatic happen to them.
But not one time did you think that there was like some demonic thing that was torturing them and causing them some torment and kind of pushed them to the edge and to the brink of where they couldn't take it any longer?
If that's how they perceived whatever was happening to them, sure. Do I think that was happening? No.
Okay.
But I remember one time I was leaving in the morning and I went to the garage to get my car, and I was driving out, and there were police all over the place, and they were blocking people from coming into the building, but they were allowing people to leave. And then I also saw police on the roof of the parking garage. And later on when I got home, I talked to the doorman and I was like, hey, did somebody jump? And then he's like, yep.
Oh.
And I'm like, were they on top of the garage? He's like, And I'm like, well, that makes sense on everything I just saw this morning. And it's sad.
Yeah.
But I don't think that they were haunting us or anything.
Oh, okay. Okay, well, listen, there's even though there's no physical evidence, perhaps this is one of those phenomenon that only takes, it's a personal experience kind of thing.
Sure.
So can't necessarily rule it out.
Well, you can, but in fact, I think the nature of these experiences are the reasons why I rule it out. It's never a shared experience. Now, there are phenomenon where you will see what experts will call some type of like mass hallucination or something like that. But they're very few and far in between. And a lot of times those situations, once you really get into the details, you start to find out that it starts to kind of break down, or there was a triggering event which made everyone think of one thing or look at one thing, or there was some type of phenomenon going on in the building that or place that can be how do I say this? Explained by science. There are a lot of things like being around like large magnetic disturbances can give you a very eerie and creepy feeling. And you can get those by being close to like huge electrical transformers and things like that, something carrying a massive load. And it's been studied that it makes people feel like, almost like, that feeling that you get when you feel like you're being watched.
Yeah.
It's like that, but it's really the magnetic field generated by this large amount of electricity.
Okay, so excuse me. This could be your your internal mechanisms alerting you to more in a deeper presence.
It could be. I don't really know what is actually going on at like a neurological level, like from a chemical standpoint, like why your body feels that way. It could simply be a malfunction. I mean, we didn't evolve around high levels of electricity. That's something in recent history. But maybe in the future we'll evolve to notice those things or not notice those things.
Nice. I like the idea of a malfunction.
I mean, who knows why it's happening?
Yeah.
I mean, our bodies are basically ran off electricity, so you start screwing around with those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me ask you this. So say that you are, going on a date, you're meeting a woman, for the first time, and you guys are talking and everything, and having a good meal, good conversation, and you ask her, so what kind of things you like to do for fun? And she's like, well, I like to hunt. She's very outdoorsy.
Sure.
She likes to be out in the woods.
Sure.
And then she mentions that she likes to, like I said, hunt. But then she says, and occasionally, I like to search for Bigfoot or, and things like that because, she's out in the woods.
Sure.
And she's like Bigfoot sightings.
Are you asking me if that would be a deal breaker?
Or your reaction?
I would actually be highly interested to see what her point of view on why she believes what she believes and what experiences she's had. I don't believe in those things because I haven't seen any any examples of it, any actual evidence. And the original film that was this was all based off of was, I'm pretty sure they admitted to it being a hoax, but more to the order that we're all walking around with high-def cameras in our pockets. Why haven't we seen something real?
Right.
But then again, there are things on this planet that we're still just finding. There was like a cave in Mexico that's opening was more than a mile wide that we just found like 10 years ago. Like, how do you miss a hole in the ground a mile wide?
Yeah.
I mean, we have satellite pictures.
Yeah, but it's a huge planet.
It is. It is. And didn't we first find like the modern world first found like silverback gorillas like 100 years ago or something?
Yeah.
It wasn't that long ago.
Yeah.
And there were myths about human-like animals in the jungle, and then all of a sudden one day we're like, hey, there they are. But up until that point, it was like, is this like a mermaid?
Yeah.
I mean,
well, I don't know. I mean, these the Bigfoot thing, it could be. There could be, creatures deep in the woods. And the reason that there's no cell phone footage is because most of the people that go out into the woods to hunt, that's their time to get out of, they don't want any, they're almost off the grid type of thing.
Yeah, but come on. I've been hunting. You'll have your cell phone in your pocket. And if you just want to enjoy nature, you leave it in your pocket. But if you see Bigfoot, you reach in your pocket and you take a picture.
Yeah, but some people aren't bringing it. They're leaving it in their vehicle, when they're, once they get to their site. And
I don't know if I buy that either because if you have an accident.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's tons of time. People are like, listen, I have my phone with me all the time, every single day. This is my, 6 hours, 4 hours to just leave it alone and to just enjoy being by myself and none of this other stuff. So that's why, because the times where Bigfoot would be out is not a time you would have your phone. It's not like Bigfoot's walking in New York. if somebody says I saw Bigfoot in New York City when I was hailing a cab, come on, then yeah. But no, it's not those situations.
Okay. Well, let me ask you: do you believe in this? Do you have dead friends and relatives that you feel their presence?
No, I don't. I just think that like the human body is very complex, and that you can't really dismiss some of that. But I don't know. I don't really believe that. I guess I'm just saying, that it's a possibility out there. I wouldn't necessarily dismiss it as a never thing, but like I don't have any firsthand accounts or anything like that, but I can see people who do. Now, the one thing that I don't think I can understand is which I guess I'll mention that in just a moment, but yeah, I mean, I guess I'll leave it at that. Is that like I can see that being a possibility, simply because I do believe that the human body is very complex, and that the brain is more so complex. So your body could be doing some strange things when you are faced with like kind of like a sudden accident or a sudden death that it may take some time for your whole being to realize that you are no longer alive.
Okay.
But yeah, okay. And I know that you're more of a science person, so that's why some of these things are a little bit fascinating to me, and I like to kind of pose the question and see people's reaction, because you find this a lot. I mean, the one thing that I was mentioning about going to a real estate or buying a house was I overheard a conversation, and that happened to someone. It almost seemed like it's straight out of a movie, where the real estate agent got spooked because she felt the presence of something that was evil, and so much so that she was like, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm getting out of this house. And she didn't drive away. I mean, she just went out the house and was like visibly shaken, next to her car. And yeah, so I don't know. I don't know what could have brought that on. I'm sure that, and being in that profession, being a real estate agent, that's not something that you would voluntarily do. That's not something that you would kind of fake. I mean, that's your, that's your career.
Yeah, that's your livelihood. You wouldn't want to screw that up.
Yeah. So some of those things I just find interesting. But I've never had those kind of experiences. And I don't really get spooked out by any of those things. I kind of gladly watch some of those movies in the dark. There are some that, that get to me. I think there was a Netflix movie or a Netflix show where it was a little much. I didn't I'll only watch a few minutes at a time.
But now, it doesn't freak you out?
No, not really. Like I said, I mean, some of the gruesome things that they start showing in the movies, like, I'm not like a wuss, but some of that I can do without, but the whole like ghost kind of creeping up behind you, and it doesn't really get to me.
But now, what about other situations? Like, what about magic?
No, that would be fun.
But you don't believe in it?
No, I don't really believe it.
What about ESP?
I was going to ask you about that. So, I don't know. Once again, the human body and the brain is very complex, but so I think there could be a rare instance where there is someone like Powder. Do you see? Remember that movie?
Yeah. But that would be telekinesis.
Oh yeah, right.
Well, I guess it was both, though, wasn't it? He could read minds and move stuff with his mind.
Yeah.
But do you believe in any of that?
Actually, as you just said that, no.
But there are government studies. It seems to be that there are many different governments that have tried this, and see, the problem is that you don't know what they're telling you is true and what they're telling you is fake. I mean, they could very well just feed us a line of bullshit because they don't want us to. They want us to think about something other than what they're actually doing.
Yeah, true.
You know, like with like a lot of times when they're testing super secret airplanes, there'll be a whole nother level of UFO sightings. And instead of coming out and going, no, that's a secret airplane that we're testing, they go, UFOs, you say?
Right. Yeah. So do you think that there's a possibility of like somebody who's telekinetic?
You know, I don't know. The science side of me says there's no evidence. But there are also weird experiments that seem to have happened in the past. I haven't heard of anything recent that had confusing results. I don't believe in it, but I also don't not believe in it. This would be one of the wackier things that I would think that I believe in. Generally, I only believe in things that there are actual evidence for. But I mean, the more and more we learn about the environment that we live in, and we learn about things like quantum entanglement and stuff like that, where I just start thinking it might not be impossible, but let me just say the amount that I believe in is like 0.001%. I believe it's real. The other 99.999 does not.
Okay. So you don't think that there could be somebody out there who's almost like Jean Grey, who can has like a totally expanded mental capacity to do extraordinary things?
No,
none whatsoever.
No. Well, maybe small bits and pieces, maybe under certain circumstances. But no.
What about slight things like when you're talking to someone and they're about to finish your sentence, or you guys say the same thing at the same time? Isn't that an example of like a type of mental pairing?
No, I would say that is, once you get familiar enough with somebody else, you can pick up patterns and speech patterns and start recognizing where they're going with things and have the ability to kind of get where they're going. And your brain may be completing sentences because it's thinking these are the next steps.
Oh, okay. Well, okay, interesting. And have you known anyone who has stated that they have these capabilities?
No.
No?
No, but I will tell you, a lot of these things I did believe in when I was younger. And I have had a weird situation or a weird event, let's call it. I was, I think I was 19. I was living in my own house, and or it was a duplex, but whatever. I was in my own home, and nobody was there. And I remember I was playing video games and sitting on the couch, and then I had this overwhelming feeling that something bad was about to happen to me. And I got really, really scared. And it was probably like 9:30, or no, probably like 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. And I remember being so freaked out. I thought maybe a car was going to come through the wall, or somebody was going to bust in and hurt me. I just had this feeling like I was about to get hurt really bad.
Right.
And so I turned on all the lights, and I remember standing in the little middle of the room, and I remember thinking, you know, be alert, like something is not right. And then about 10, 15 minutes later, so I've been feeling that feeling for about 10 or 15 minutes, and my neighbor came home, and I thought, I just want to be around other people. Like, this is bad.
Yeah.
And so we didn't really have a garage per se, neither did they. We kind of had like these driveways that were beside of our houses. And so our driveways were right next to each other. So I ran around the corner to see him get out of his car, and he got out of his car, and his face was all bloody.
Oh, damn.
And I'm like, oh my God, dude, are you okay? And he's like, no. He's like, I was coming out of the bar, and this guy said something to me, and I said, what did you say? And I think he thought that I was like threatening him, and then he said something again, and then he's like, I didn't understand what he said, so he was just like, okay, man, whatever. And then the guy started yelling at me and said, what do you mean, whatever? And he goes, hey, man, I'm just trying to get in my car. Fuck you. And then the guy ran up and just started punching him in the face.
Damn.
And then he jumped in this car, and he was originally planning on going to like another bar, but he drove away quickly to get away from this guy. And then he looked in the mirror and saw that he had like a bloody nose and a black eye and stuff, and was like, I should go home.
Yeah.
And it was pretty much the same moment that I had that terror feeling in the house.
Yeah.
And I thought, when I was younger, I thought, that is really weird.
So when you think about that, does it give you the goosebumps or the chills being like...
No, I think that was just some weird coincidence that my brain started after the whole incident started piecing together coincidences and started saying, oh, it could be explained by this supernatural ability, but
that was your chance, and you totally blew it. That was your moment to be ordained with some type of superpower, and you were just like, "That's crap. I'm just gonna whatever." And
I did after like we had this picnic table between our driveways, and we sat down there, and he like grabbed a rag and he was like, cleaning himself up. Mm-hmm. And
did you use your telekinesis to like move the rag for him so he could?
No, but when I told him what I had this weird feeling, and then he's like, dude, that's like the exact time. He's like, because I was trying to get away and trying to block punches for like several minutes before I got in the car. And he's like, that's the exact time that he basically jumped me. And he's like, he didn't even rob me or anything. He's like, I don't know, he's just drunk.
Yeah.
And he started yelling at me, and I was just like, okay, man.
Yeah, that's fascinating. That's interesting.
Weird, right?
Yeah, yeah. I'm surprised that you don't. I mean, you should have like harnessed that, and you don't think about that. And
fought crime with it.
Yeah.
All I have to do is be really scared, and then I'll know somebody's getting hurt.
Yeah, you just gotta pinpoint their location and be there to aid with their first aid.
Sure.
Okay. So let me see. I got another question for you. Have you ever, excuse me, used the Ouija board?
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So how'd that go? How was did you summon some spirits and get some answers?
I was the one making it spell stuff.
Come on. And scaring everybody
the
else?
whole time.
Yeah.
And then the whole time I berated everyone else at the table. Stop pushing it. Stop pushing it. And they're like, I'm not. I'm like, stop it. This is not funny. Stop it. And then I would ask it really screwed up questions like, are you in the room? And then, I'd make it say yes. And then I'd be like, did you die a horrible death and you're caught in the in-between? And then I'd make it say yes again, and everyone else is like, okay, this is freaking me out. And then I would get really pissed at everyone else at the table, and I go, this is not funny. Yeah. You guys stop moving it.
I think that's the way to play the game.
Yeah, yeah.
Which actually, what's funny is that, like, I think when I was a kid, I didn't think that was a game until, like, I actually saw it come out as a game in the stores. Yeah. Like I would see people who had it, and I'm
that's
like,
where you buy it. You buy it by the board
But
games.
I was like, where'd you get that from? And it's always seemed this secret thing. And then I actually go and I'm like, there's a Ouija game. Like you could buy it at a Walmart.
Yeah,
like that totally took the whole like thing out of it. I'm
at
like,
one part,
no
I got pissed off and I jumped up at the table and I started yelling at everyone. And everyone's like, no, I swear, I'm not moving it. And I'm like, I'm not an idiot. It was me the whole time. I was just entertaining myself.
Did you ever tell anybody about that?
I mean, I'm telling you right now.
That's hilarious. That is hilarious.
The funniest jokes are the ones that I don't explain.
That's funny stuff. Uh-huh. Yeah, I've never had. I don't know. When I was around when that was being played, it never got that serious. I think that everyone was looking for something to really happen, so they weren't trying to manipulate it or whatever. But or everyone was kind of skeptical, like, is it really gonna But yeah, nothing that intense.
So let me ask you, at what point, or how do I even ask this? Like, do you find any of it offensive? Like one, do you believe there's like demons and things like that out there?
No, I think deep down, no, I don't believe that.
Okay, so if somebody said that they worship demons, would you be like, oh, I'm so offended?
No.
You just would be like, okay, whatever.
Yeah, I'd just be like, whatever, okay.
Okay. So you don't buy into all of this. This keeps coming up in our society over and over again. I remember it was happening in the 80s, this whole like satanic panic thing where like, I guess it happened also in the 70s when they were basically, you could see it on the news or hear it in church, and they would talk about like Dungeons and Dragons. Like, you parents have to be really careful. These kids are playing Dungeons and Dragons in the basement, and all it does is teach devil worship. And it's like,
no, it doesn't.
If you knew what Dungeons and Dragons were, it's just a role-playing game where kids are supposed to use their imagination to imagine a scenario.
Yeah.
Ooh, you're walking through a cave, and then this animal jumps out. What do you do?
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
But they touched on that in Stranger Things.
Oh, yeah.
Did you watch that?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
So when they were talking about the group of people that always play Dungeons and Dragons,
Yep.
and people were like satanic worshiping
right.
a-holes.
Yeah.
And that has happened over and over again in our society, where people are like, this stuff must be real, and if you believe in it, then you've screwed your life up. And it's like,
yeah,
I don't believe in any of it, so I'm kind of like, whatever.
Yeah, it's weird. I mean, because it can go, either way. I mean, without getting too much into, all of it. But, I mean, I think that the whole like, if you, worship demons, it's almost like it's another religion type of thing. Could be seen.
Yeah, that's exactly how I see it.
Yeah. So, yeah, I don't necessarily would get offended at that, or say satanic club.
Yeah, in fact, I even think like okay, Stranger Things. I've seen that. I thought that was a good show.
Yeah.
I don't feel like it affected me in a negative way, and now I believe in demons. Or remember the movie from the 90s, The Craft?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, at the time I thought that was a great movie, and they were witches who worshipped, well, I guess, Mother Nature. What did they worship? I don't know if it was Satan in particular, but yeah.
Yeah, none of that seems offensive to me. I mean, I don't think you can necessarily be. I don't know. I mean, I guess you can be offended by anything, but
now I wish it was real.
Yeah,
I really do wish it was real. I wish magic was real. I wish all of that stuff was real, because, I mean, I'm not saying that life isn't very exciting, but I feel like it would be more storybook if those things were real. I mean, why not? I used to watch this show called The Magicians, which is basically like, it was like Harry Potter if Harry Potter took place while they were in college.
Okay.
And they were always going off and partying and getting drunk and having fun and doing magic. And it was always, I just thought, you know what? If we were having a party and somebody could like levitate the entire crowd as we all got drunk, that would be really entertaining to me.
Yeah.
I mean, I know it doesn't exist, but it would just make the world a little bit more fun.
Yeah, I agree. I can see that. So, I think I wish there was some type of well, I don't know about kinesis. I was actually going to say like telekinesis or something, but I don't necessarily know I want somebody to be able to like read my mind or control my mind to have me do certain things. So, I'm gonna retract that statement. But I can agree with that. I kind of wish there were other maybe spirits out there. It's a little weird if you can't see them, so you don't necessarily know when they're going to be around, because that could be embarrassing,
You know what, though? Now that I'm starting to think about it a little more here, I actually think now it wouldn't change anything. Because if we grew up with it and it was just a normal thing, then life would just be at the same level of excitement it is now. I think the reason why I'm thinking it would be interesting is that it would be a change.
Right.
I guess what would be really interesting is if life out in the universe existed other than here, and it was intelligent, and it came by, and it was something that we didn't, live with our entire lives, and we got to experience new technology, like imagine if aliens came down and they were like, "Hey, we really do have holodecks, and you can go in there and do whatever you want."
Yeah.
And I'd be like, "Awesome.
Yeah.
Let's do that right now." And then they were like, "Yeah, and we set it up so you can't get hurt. So if you just want to jump off a cliff, and then the machine will just catch you."
Yeah.
And I'm like, huh.
Yeah, that would be nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I think maybe it's because we, it would be a drastic change.
Okay. So maybe this falls into the same line, but okay, so when you are like thinking in your head, or you're talking to yourself, reading a book to yourself, and you can kind of hear your voice even though you're not saying anything, what does that fall under? Does that fall under, I mean, I understand that that's like they consider that as like self-talk or self-speak, or what, I can't remember the exact term, but isn't that similar to some type of phenomenon? Like, you're not speaking any words.
You're just talking about your inner monologue.
Yeah, yeah. But you can hear yourself. So it almost feels like it's like a new, like, not dimension, but
no, I think that is just a process that our brains developed in order for us to, I don't know, sort thoughts out, or organize ideas, or maybe even just try to flush out an idea.
Because not everybody can do that. I mean, there are cases where people don't have an inner monologue.
Yeah, I've heard about that.
Yeah.
But that is rare.
Yeah.
You have an inner monologue,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Yeah. So do I.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
And when I'm alone and nobody's at my house and I'm angry, I have an outer monologue too.
yeah. It's funny. I will have an outer monologue and talk to myself. I did one time, I still remember, is that I was, I think I was getting ready to go to work. I was living alone at the time. And I was just talking to myself about some things. And then I stopped myself and I said, no, we got to talk about that in the car. And I was like
as if you had multiple personalities.
Well, no, but I was like setting aside time to talk about this one particular thing to myself, like as I'm driving to work or wherever I had to go. And I don't know, I still remember that, because I was like, or I think I was thinking it in my head, but I was like, no, like, we're going to pause that topic until we get in the car. We talk about that later.
I'll tell you, I always hate it when I get busted doing it.
Yeah.
There's been times where like people are like, okay, well, I'm just going to run to the store, either friends or family members or whatever. And they're like, okay, I'm going to be gone for like 10 minutes. And I see them leave, and then I start talking to myself. And then all of a sudden they walk in like 1 minute later, and I'm like, what the hell? And they're like, what are you doing?
Yes.
And I'm like talking to myself. And they're like, yeah, it sounds like you're pretty upset. And I'm like, why are you here?
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot my wallet.
Yeah.
And it's like,
Yeah.
You
I used to
busted
get embarrassed when I was younger, but now, because I find myself doing it all the time. Like, even, when I'm out in public, I'll be, just walking down an aisle at at the supermarket and talking to myself, and, and then turn around and someone's there, like, look at me strange, but.
So wait, we were talking about paranormal phenomenon, and one of the things we were, we both commented on what we personally believe, but what do you think the percentage of the population is that believes in ghosts and spirits and other things?
So I'll probably say like an even 50. I'll probably say at least half of the population.
And you're saying half of the population in the United States?
Yeah.
in our society.
Yeah.
And do you think that is going up or down?
I think that's going down. I would say down. Yeah. Excuse me. It seems like there's a good amount of people who are dedicated to kind of like quote unquote like busting those myths. So I would say that number is definitely going down. But not in a bad kind of way. Like it's just becoming more and more where people are like, maybe family members told them about ghosts or spirits, and then they're like,
well, I think we have access to a lot more information now.
Mm-hmm.
So if somebody does experience something, they could look it up, and the phenomenon might be easily dismissed in a very scientific way.
Right.
But if they never knew that before the internet, they might just constantly think, oh, I had this very weird experience. But now with the internet, you can go online and look it up right away.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, one of the things that I did around my house was to install security cameras, mostly because I'm here alone. And it really calmed me down. We were talking about watching movies and being freaked out and stuff like that. The security cameras actually really calmed me down.
Oh, yeah.
I remember like 3 years ago, I'm laying in bed. It's got to be like 4 a.m. or something like that. And I hear this loud bang, like a really loud bang. It almost sounded like somebody kicked my door. And I thought, what was that? Like it freaked me out enough to turn the lights on and think, is somebody trying to break in? And I looked at the security cameras, and it was in the winter, and we had a lot of wind, and it created this huge overhang of snow alongside of my house. And there's a spot on my sidewalk where you walk along the garage on the way to the driveway, and it had all fallen and hit my wood walkway. And it was probably like, I don't know, 300-400 pounds worth of snow that all fell at the same time. But the second I saw it on the camera, I was like, okay. But I think if I didn't have the camera, my imagination would be running wild.
Yeah.
I probably would have got a flashlight, looked out all the windows. I would be looking for tracks. And then when I didn't find tracks, I'd be thinking, what is going on?
It's a spirit coming to get you.
Or did a plane crash into my roof or something and I need to go outside in the middle of the night?
No, you would be thinking that it was revenge for all those Ouija incidents. Somebody was coming to get you for that. Because they were trying to communicate and you were messing all up.
What do you think of what do you think of these mystery spots around the United States?
What do you mean, like spots where there's like high concentration of paranormal activity?
Well, that, and there were also like tourist attractions where like maybe there was one in Wisconsin where something had happened early on when this forest was planted. The forest had been cut down and then replanted by human beings. And there was some type of phenomenon, and I don't know if it was like a storm or what, but when all the trees were saplings, they all got blown in one direction. And it's kind of while you're going up this hill, and there's a road now going up the hill. So if you drive up the hill, the trees are pointed in the wrong direction, and they've now grown to fully grown trees. And it makes it look like you're going down the hill when you're driving up the hill. It's all an optical illusion.
Oh, wow.
But you've never seen any of these roadside attractions?
In Wyoming or what? Wisconsin?
Wisconsin. Now, what about the Winchester home?
Yeah, I've heard about this.
Have you ever seen it? No. Do you know about it?
I think I know about that.
Yeah. What's the story?
Is that where? Is that like kind of the same story as the Blair Witch?
No. So the Winchester rifles. So they made tons of money with their. They were one of the first guns that was able to shoot more than one bullet at a time. And it was I think their first gun was called the Winchester repeating rifle.
Yeah.
And they made a ton of money back in the day, when explorers would go out west and things like that. So they started building this house, and Mr. Winchester passed away, and the house was still under construction. And then Mrs. Winchester was finishing the house, this massive mansion. Well, at a certain point, she stopped construction on the house, and several workers died. And she firmly believed that the house was being haunted by all the people that were killed by her husband's rifles. And that in order to stave off anyone else from being injured, she couldn't stop construction on the house.
Oh.
So she started construction up again. And she just kept 24/7 just stuff being done around the house. And then the house became like this abomination. Like at a certain point, you don't have anything else to do. So there are rooms where like you open the door and there's a staircase that just leads into the ceiling. And, and there's a door that leads out to a deck that isn't there. And there's doors that open up and there's a wall behind it. They were just building to build, and it stopped making sense. And it's a weird attraction, but she fully believed that that she had to do it because of all these people that were killed from her husband's invention.
But that she had to do it in that particular way, or to actually build a functioning house, like a functional...
I think it was one of those scenarios where she believed in ghosts, and the deal is that bad things started happening, and she correlated it to the house being finished. So she thought, well, if it's never finished, then nobody will get hurt.
Oh, so was this ever solved as being like a case of food poisoning or some type of bug?
No, some of the workers died in very bizarre ways. I mean, I would call it a coincidence, but she called it revenge for creating such a terrible weapon.
Oh, okay, yeah. Well, I don't know. That's interesting. That's not the story I thought it was. So,
what story were you thinking it was?
Well, what's that behind you? I'm getting out of here. I thought I was gonna get you there.
You know what? You did weird me out a little bit because I have a neighbor that's not here right now, but he looks in windows.
Oh, okay.
Not great.
Yeah.
And so inside, I wasn't getting scared as much as I was getting really upset. And I was thinking, if I see somebody looking in the window right now, you're going to watch me get pissed.
Okay, so last thing. What about, I don't know if we touched on this, but what about any type of astral projection, where kind of like outer body experience? Have you had anything where it's like, I mean, you almost had a situation like that, what you were describing. I mean, I guess, but where, you were, sitting down in the chair in the living room and you felt like you're, you could instantly you start seeing like the whole room, like yourself kind of like leaving your body, and, anything like that? Any psychedelic drugs?
No, I find the whole thing fascinating, and I'm not saying that one day we couldn't evolve to maybe even a different state, but I don't believe in that we're able to do that right now. Although, have you ever heard of Edgar Cayce?
No.
So Edgar Cayce was a how would you describe him? He definitely had like psychic powers. He started out in life where he had some type of disease or damage or something. There was something wrong with his throat. And one day he had tried all types of things. And one day he was trying hypnosis. And when he was put into a state, into a hypnotic state, he then started describing that his mind went to a place where he had access to all the knowledge in the universe. And then he proceeded, and this guy's not a doctor, by the way, this guy's a farmer.
Okay.
He then proceeded to tell people, and he had seen tons of doctors about fixing his throat. He then proceeded to tell people exactly how to fix his throat and what was wrong with it. Then he went to a doctor and he said, hey, I think this is the case. And they said, well, we've got no way to prove that. And he said, look, you can fix it this way. Can you please do it? And they did. And it did fix him.
Oh, nice.
Now, he was able to put himself into a trance and go to that state. And people would come to him all the time to ask them questions or get advice. He would answer all types of questions. In fact, his wife started having to sit in with him because he was scared that people were taking advantage of him because they would ask things like about making money or, where to invest in the stock market. But he answered all kinds of questions. He answered questions about where the lost city of Atlantis is. He answered questions about aliens. And some of the things he said came true. And he got such a large reputation that presidents would go see him, presidents of the United States. And there's actually a huge library that, well, maybe not huge, but there is a library that contains all of his readings and all of his, I guess, messages or whatever. And he described it as his mind goes to the state, so he's having like an out-of-body experience. And at that state, he's thinking on a different level, and the level that he's thinking on gives him access to all information. And he says that everybody can do it, that he's not special, and that we all should be able to do it. But even describing the process, no one else is, well, no one that he talked to was able to do it. Whether he was actually doing this or not. Houdini always thought all of this was a complete sham. And his wife got involved in seances and things like that. And to prove that it was a sham, he told her a secret word and said, I'm sorry that you believe in this, but I don't. And here's a secret word. And if I die before you and one of your so-called friends says that they're talking to me and they have a message, you ask them for the word. And if they don't give it to you, it's not me. And she never received the word.
Yeah, interesting. Well, I need to look that guy up a little more so I can see if I can kind of find out.
Edgar Casey?
Yeah. I want to know the secret to some outer body experience.
There was tens of thousands of readings or 40,000 readings or I don't know.
Because, he was able to tell them how to fix his throat. So, so that's got to be some evidence that he was, telling the truth.
Or I guess it's Edgar Case.
Okay.
Yeah, an American clairvoyant. He lived from 1877 until 1945.
Okay.
And does it say?
Well, that's
It doesn't say how many things. At least I'm going through the Wikipedia right now. But yeah, there's a whole
okay.
There's a whole library to him.
Okay. Well, I'm definitely going to check that out because that would be a great trick if I'm playing poker.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, listen, I enjoyed this conversation, and I think now is the time that I need to go talk to some of the people that are around this residence and find out why they're still here and they're not leaving.
You get like 45 minutes ago, you said you don't believe in any of that.
Well, they have been tapping me on the shoulder and like, hey, you need to hear our story.
Sure.
Mike's terrible.
And you know what? Hey, if you guys believe that we're totally full of crap and that all of this is real, you should totally, I'm saying totally too many times, you should put a comment down below and tell us about your experience.
Yeah, I would love to hear more of this and this firsthand experiences.
All right. I'll talk to you guys later.
All right.